We had meetings on Monday night and Tuesday night with our senior presidents and junior presidents. We outlined our plans for recommencing the competition to both groups. They received a very positive response, and so we're able to announce that we will be commencing our senior competition on the 1st of August. It'll be a 10-round competition with one bye, so that'll run for 11 weeks, with our grand finals on October 31. The junior competition, that will start on the 24th of July. That'll be a 9-round competition, and that will finish on the 19th of September, so that we don't run into interference with summer sport, which will start in term 4. So we will also run a 7-a-side competition for 3 weeks after the September school holidays to give our junior players a little bit of extra rugby to make up what they've missed out for because of the current situation. So yeah, we're all set to go. We're in the process now of confirming which teams will be in the junior competition. We know that the senior comp will have the same teams as we originally had this year. And then we'll start producing final draws, and we'll get things underway. The good news is that non-contact training, which commences on Saturday the 13th of June, has now had some revised guidelines published this morning, and that'll mean that we can have about 60 people per rugby field in 3 defined groups of 20. There are obviously a number of sanitisation, hygiene, COVID-safe rules in place for that to happen. Each club will be providing a COVID-safe officer who will be in charge of making sure that all of those obligations are met, because whilst it's great news that we can have more people at training, which is more realistic in terms of getting ready for the season, we still need to be very careful that we abide by the safety rules and make sure that we don't do anything that's going to jeopardise our rugby community or our supporters. So it's great news that we can have reasonably good numbers at training now. There'll be windows between each training session, 15-minute windows. There'll be sanitisation on and off the field. There'll be a single flow method of entry and exit, and a number of things like that. Obviously no sharing of water bottles, no contact. For this phase of training, there'll be no tackling, no line-outs, no scrummaging, no wrestling. It'll simply be ball skills, kicking, passing, drills of that nature, so that'll start getting players ready for the season. On the 11th of July, we'll be able to start contact training, and those guidelines will not be released until the Chief Medical Officer is satisfied that all of the field sport clubs in Queensland have conducted the level 2 training in the right manner, have observed all the safety protocols, have stuck to the rules. Then I think they'll have a look at the level 3 contact training restrictions, and hopefully they'll ease those up a little bit in terms of the numbers that will be available. So all in all, it's pretty good news for rugby on the coast. I'd encourage all players to get in touch with their clubs because the clubs will be starting to work out training schedules and things as of today. Those players that haven't yet registered will of course need to register in time for them to start training, so that they're covered by insurance and covered for the rest of the season. That's about all that really needs to happen. I know everyone's sitting in the wings waiting, so now the button's being pressed, they can get into it, contact their clubs and start training ready for the season.
So the round of games that was played back in March, are they still counting towards the season, or are they?
No, we'll class that as a pre-season round because we've had to do a new draw for the senior rugby. The A grade and the women's and the Colts will play each other twice, whereas they were originally scheduled to play each other 3 times. And the reserve grade will play each other once, because we have 10 teams in reserve grade, so they'll play each other once, and that original game will be classed as a warm-up game.
Oh, yeah. So everyone in A grade Colts women play each other twice, and then for 10 games each, and then reserve grade will be play everyone else once, which works out to about 9 games.
Yeah,
each.
so there'll be 11 weeks of rugby. There'll be 1 bye for the A grade teams, and there'll be 2 byes for the reserve grade teams, just to make that all even out. And we'll have our normal semi-finals on the Saturday and Sunday for the 1v2, 3v4, and then we'll have our elimination final the following Saturday, and then our grand finals on that Saturday the 31st of October.
Yeah. So your normal 3-week finals.
Yeah. And fortunately, we've been in discussion with Nelson Cricket. We're not going to conflict with anything that they want to do. They're going to start their season late, but fortunately we won't be conflicting with anything that they're doing. So that's really good.
That was local cricket, or
local cricket in Sunshine Coast Cricket. I said Nelson Cricket. I lived in Nelson for 6 years. So.
Phone call incoming. I did have it on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, see, whenever there's an incoming call, it interrupts the audio.
Okay.
There we go. I'll be able to match everything up with the camera audio. Right. So you've spoken to cricket and...
we've had a couple of conversations, and we won't conflict with anything that they want to do, which is good. I think in terms of sport generally, we've got to work together to make sure that in this situation that we have no conflicts in a normal season, because you wouldn't have to worry about it. But we've been pretty careful, particularly with the juniors, that we don't impinge upon the summer sport. We will be running that sevens competition, and that'll be more of a tournament style thing, and only for the players that aren't playing other summer sports. If they still want to continue their rugby, then we'll provide that for them for 3 weekends in October. Yeah.
Was ground sharing an issue with, say, cricket or someone else?
It's not a big issue on the Sunshine Coast. None of our senior clubs share with cricket, and I don't think many of the junior clubs do either. So that's not the issue. The issue is we didn't want to conflict on a Saturday with kids wanting to play cricket and having to choose between cricket and rugby. Well, that situation won't exist, which is great for both codes. So there's no conflict there. Yeah.
I think when I've been playing cricket with children, the only conflict was does someone play 6th grade cricket, or do they play A grade soccer?
Yeah. I don't think too many of our senior players play cricket.
No.
I don't know. So that's good. That's good for everyone.
Yeah. So all the clubs are happy with how the draws turned out under the circumstances?
Yeah, the draw's pretty much the same. The first 2 rounds of the original draw. Just obviously we've changed the dates. The clubs are now reviewing their ground situation to make sure that the way we've produced the draw now suits the availability of their grounds. We may have to swap a round or 2 here or there to make that possible, because obviously pushing things back has changed the nature of when we're wanting rugby to be played on their grounds. And in most cases I think that'll be fine, but they are checking that at the moment in case we have to make any little adjustments to ensure they're able to host those games, because they'll be playing home and away, so they'll be hosting 5 games at home and playing 5 games away. Yeah.
So it might be a situation where the local council or or the university might have scheduled maintenance on that
or
particular
something.
ground.
Exactly right. So we got to be careful that before we publish the final draw, that those things are taken into account, and we'll negotiate with clubs if we have to make some changes. That won't be difficult. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most clubs control their own ground, so it shouldn't really be an issue.
Oh, yeah. They have the say that they might have the primary release on that ground.
Yeah. I think in a lot of other like I know that in Sydney rugby, a lot of the clubs have to share with cricket, and that I don't know what the situation is down there, but we don't have to worry about that. We're pretty good up there. Yeah.
I know where I'm from down in Victoria, a lot of the cricket clubs share with a few of the football clubs.
Yeah.
So.
We're lucky we don't have to do that, and so everything should be fine. But just a little bit of care and attention will have to be paid to the COVID safe regulations. That's all, and everything should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, so when do you expect to hear back from the clubs about whatever needs to happen with their grounds?
We've asked them to get back to us by Friday the 12th on the ground allocation. The junior clubs, we're giving them a little bit more time because they need to start training to confirm the teams that they'll be entering in the competition. Some things may have changed in the world of junior rugby in terms of players being able to commit. So we'll take that into account when we get that information, and we'll do a final draw after that. Yeah.
Okay, so all the senior teams that had committed earlier this year.
As far as we know, those teams will be still committed, and that's they're all just waiting to get cracking.
And waiting on the final details of whatever they need to find out from whoever they need to find out from.
Well, each club will appoint a COVID safe officer.
Yep.
There's a big Zoom conference happening on Saturday in 2 sessions, so that everyone can be briefed on what their roles and responsibilities are, and then they can draw up a plan for how they're going to manage. At the moment, it's managing training, making sure that there's signage, there's a separation signs of the 1.5 metres where necessary, making sure that the sanitisation stations are established, making sure that everybody in the club downloads the COVID Safe app to their phones is very important. We've strongly recommended that everyone does that so that we can conduct any contact tracing in the unfortunate event that someone shows some symptoms and proves positive. We're in a position to be able to help track that and trace it. There's a sign-in, sign-out situation, a document for every training session, once again, so we know who's there, who's been in contact with who. So there's just a few protocols there to ensure that all of those COVID safe measures are in place.